from people like Marie Cantwell, people like Tom Udall, and Cory Booker. So yeah, this is what we need to know. Joe Manchin is a known entity. He's a Republican. I'm sorry, he is a Republican. It's just that simple. But take a look at some of the things Cory Booker has to say. He may be the ranking member, but he's part of a team when it comes to issues of climate change, issues of the environment. I have a lot of confidence that I can work with him to fight a far more aggressive agenda for dealing with the planetary crisis of global warming. This guy voted for Scott Pruitt. He literally echoes the Republican agenda. It's this simple situation. Chris Murphy of Connecticut. Like, these are smart, these are pretty liberal people. These are not bad people. But they're, like, so delusional that they think he's going to, they can work with each other. Like, jeez, you just gave him more power. You don't have to work with him. You just appoint someone who's going to get the job done and follow the consensus of a far majority of Americans and a far majority of the voters. It's that simple. Jesus. So Joe and this is Chris Murphy of Connecticut saying, quote, Joe and I don't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, but he's a really important member of our caucus. He wouldn't be the only leader on the issues of climate. On climate, we're going to have to make decisions collectively as a caucus. Nobody in our caucus has a veto over climate policy, whether they're a ranking member on a committee or not. Bad news! He's not in your caucus. He's caucuses with Republicans. Okay? I don't care what anyone else says. He caucuses with Republicans. It's just that simple. Yeah. I think Joe gets and understands we need to move forward on a diverse set of energy needs. Shoot myself in the head. Oh my god. 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 This is causing me to melt down here. If he does get it, he could well have the potential to grow into the role. Oh my god. This is Tom Udall of New Mexico. Literally, there is no time to grow into the role. It's as simple as that. We have a climate crisis on our hands. There's no growing. There's only fixing situations as humanly fast as possible. Just that simple. So Senators Booker, Udall, Cantwell, and Murphy are now responsible for what Manchin does on the committee, because when he votes with Republicans on every single issue, he's like, yeah, do you want to, make coal companies able to just dump coal, sprinkle coal over low-income communities? Fly it over, Republicans, when they propose a plan to make it legal for coal companies to get helicopters for free and dump coal all over, in inner city Baltimore or something like that, Joe Manchin's going to be like, okay, that's cool. When that happens, they're all responsible. They're all responsible. I don't care what anyone else has to say with it. It's true. All right. That was a hell of a story. Yeah. All right. I gotta take a chill pill for that one. But, before we move on, just want to say, that's pretty much the final mentions here. Nobody knows what Special Counsel Robert Mueller is going to say when he releases his much-anticipated report detailing his investigation into the Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. Was there any collusion? Is there any prison? Is anyone going to prison? Is the PP tape real? Do we know? Is the PP tape real? Oh my gosh, I don't know. PP tape. That's literally, a way too high percentage of liberals. Is the PP tape real? Is the PP tape real? Yay, PP tape. It's that above is one of the many things that makes me want to shoot myself as we head into 2019. You think the White House would be spending some time possibly prepping for whenever this report drops. But according to a new report from the Atlantic's Elena Plott, the administration is going to take its cue from the president and pretty much wing the whole thing without any sort of plan. So, seems like a great idea there. Among the reasons why no one is actually working on a serious plan, according to Spenser here, is the constant rotating cast of characters in Trump's legal team. Also, the fact that, as Plott notes, whatever plan his aide concocts is likely going to be ignored by Trump. So why bother? It's like Jesus take the wheel, but scarier, said one aide. Can't summit. That's literally the Trump presidency. Jesus take the wheel, but scary. That's literally everything liberals' whole deal. Everything, all our values, the stake of America, the values of America, the issues that we all care about. It's Jesus take the wheel, but scarier. That sums it up very, very well. according to Trump's increasingly unhinged attorney, Rudy Giuliani, the president is actually busying himself or obsessing over a single player in Manafort's investigation, Paul Manafort. Mueller's investigation is Paul Manafort. The thing that upsets POTUS most is the treatment of Manafort. He told The Atlantic, Giuliani did, after learning Manafort had been placed in solitary confinement. Trump said to me, "Don't they realize we're in America?" Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one. Yeah. Wow. That is pretty... Inhumane prison conditions in America, supported and actively appreciated by Donald Trump here in America. Incredible. What? No, I can't. Would never happen. Like, that's probably, again, we're breaking new records of stupid. I love that quote. Solitary confinement? What? We're in America. What is this? That is hilarious cognitive dissonance completed there by a man who has absolutely no brain. So it's pretty easy for him to do that. He's literally no brain. So that is very interesting stuff. Very, very interesting stuff. All right. We now turn tide to Antonio Delgado. He's the incoming representative for New York's 19th district, which is kind of in the center of New York. It's northern Hudson Valley. Pretty much, it's a relatively suburban / rural community in New York. That's pretty much all you need to know about it. Yet, during the height of his congressional campaign, he name-checked the program, the Green New Deal. You've heard maybe Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on it. It's a very popular progressive program. Bernie Sanders, a lot of progressives, Rashid Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, all those good folks, Anna Presley, they've come behind it. They've supported it. Ro Khanna, I think there's now 13 House Democrats who have signed on to support it, which is pretty cool. A lot of people getting behind it here. Senate Democrats again with Joe Manchin leading the environmental committee. That's gonna be a fun one to watch. But so with that going on, pretty much the Green New Deal. For those of you who need to know about this Green New Deal, it's a environmental jobs program that kind of pretty much initiates the creation of new jobs to help build things that would protect the environment, such as more like windmills, more like things, I forget what they're called. They're like the things that trap carbon back there. Like pretty much the creation of jobs, but like a New Deal, but not with like new bridges and infrastructure, but with environmentally friendly infrastructure, which it makes a lot of sense to me. It makes a lot of sense to me. That's all I'm going to say. So all in his campaign, and there's a lot of people doing this now, that like they get to like him and Hobb at all the progressive positions, but just drop them as soon as they get in office here. He has not mentioned it yet. Antonio Delgado has. In Delgado's comments to the crowd at the League of Conservation Voters Forum in August, he cited the Green New Deal, an inspirational dash of opening rhetoric which positions saving the environment as part of an American aspirational story. According to Delgado, transitioning to a clean energy is not only the moral choice for the future, but an economically viable one, he says. It is very important to understand that we could go to the moon, but what are we doing right now to save Earth? Why aren't we thinking bigger? Why aren't we challenging ourselves to the next frontier? What it might look like. Why aren't we thinking of a Green New Deal? Exactly. Now that Democrats are thinking of a Green New Deal, however, Delgado's name is noticeably absent. A proposal from incoming representative, guess who? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez uses the Green New Deal as the springboard for rules that would radically revamp the U.S. economy in an effort to fight back against the consequences of climate change and limit the damage that's already been done. Long considered an idealistic but unrealistic proposal, the Green New Deal has gained traction again in the Democratic caucus as we've seen more and more progressives get more and more influence. Some of the members that have signed on, Anna Presley, Ilhan Omar, Rashid Tlaib, Joe Neguse of Colorado, shout out, Deb Haaland of New Mexico. They've all signaled their support for the program, and at least 17 House Democrats apparently are on board. A group of them appeared last Friday morning outside the Capitol to reiterate their demands. On Monday night, Senator Bernie Sanders hosted town hall on the Green Deal and invited Ocasio-Cortez. Delgado does seem like he'd fit into this group. His core supporters tilt left on most issues, though the 19th, this is a district, which is a predominantly rural and over 80% right, is considered a swing district. Delgado's win over incumbent Republican John Foster was the culmination of 2 years of hard work by activists who made unseating Republican the focus of the opposition to the Trump administration. Delgado's campaign did not respond to requests for comments. He will not be sworn in until January. But that has not stopped other incoming freshmen from signing on. This is a very interesting situation. Antonio Delgado is going to be one to watch on this situation. There's no reason why this guy should not be supporting it. There is a more progressive guy, Jeff Beals, shout out Jeff Beals, rip Jeff Beals, who lost in the primary to Antonio Delgado, who's, by the way, heavily PAC supported, no surprise. He lost in that primary. And he's just now... He's like, now we have this guy in there. He seems a lot less committal. Antonio Delgado, he's definitely going to be someone to watch on that front. Watch this space, as the saying goes. Delgado's use of the Green New Deal language at the August League of Conservative Voters did not sit well with Green Party candidate Steve Greenfield, who wasn't even invited to speak at the voters event. And so, looking at this, a rough look for the Conservation Voter Forum. When the Green Party guy wasn't invited to speak, but the guy who's now turning his back on the cause is. So it is going to be very interesting. I mean, there still is very much time for him to support it. But here's the thing. He better support it. Like, that's something we're going to have to watch. All right. We will be back with our last story in just a second. But as people who listen to the podcast, hopefully on Monday, and understand better the negative aspects and the full aspects, really, of George H.W. Bush's legacy, take this in. This is some incredible stuff. First, we're going to start with a clip. We're going to, again, just take this very slowly here. This is a quote from, this is not a quote, this is some audio from NBC on the morning of the funeral out front of the National Cathedral.
And we all know that President Bush did not care for the legacy discussion. He certainly didn't want to have it for himself. But when you look at it, Andrea, what do you think? How do you think we'll measure this presidency?
Well, I think history is treating him already far better than we in the media and the public perhaps appreciated him when he ended his presidency. And he was very, distraught, of course, at the loss to Bill Clinton. But the fact is the gentility, the decency, despite his political instincts, he was very competitive in that 1988 campaign, should not be airbrushed. But the fact is that there was a fundamental kindness and gentility about the man and the sense of public service. When we talk about the points of light and that metaphor for his volunteerism, that really defined his life. And twice taking assignments that he thought would take him away from the political ambition that he had. Once in China, once at the CIA, and actually 3 times, another time at the Republican Committee right after Watergate.
That's Andrea Mitchell, who's been around. She's been around for a long time. She had some good stuff, but this is not one of the issues. Like, it's very funny because you can literally trace back to reporters saying absolutely outrageously glowing things about George H.W. Bush. Like, for example, Maureen Dowd, who reported on... Maureen Dowd, she's like, George Bush, he was such a great dude. He was incredible. He was the best. All these flowery praise. And then, this was on Twitter. I can't, take back for it. And then she filed the piece in 1988 that said George H.W. Bush's White House set up the drug buy that in a televised speech that led to the announcement of the awful failure of the war on drugs. So now we get to the next clip. Tom Brokaw, who was, again, not born yesterday. He was there. He covered the news. He saw all this stuff happen. Yet still, we get this.
I heard yesterday from the former editor of Newsweek, Ev Thomas, who had that famous cover, The Wimp Factor.
Yes.
And he said, we showed him in a variety of ways inside doing a lot of stuff. He was out on the golf course. He was driving his motorboat. And then he said, boy, were we wrong. Ev Thomas did. That was one of the times that I remember that President Bush was really unhappy with how he'd been treated. Because it was unfair. He was a man of great vigor, but he was not anybody who wanted to draw attention to himself. He was a very loyal vice president to President Bush, to President Reagan. So,
I believe he told his biographer that Newsweek cover was the cheapest of cheap shots against him. It hurt.
And that was one of the few times he really complained about his treatment.
Yeah, and he didn't... This is the continuation of the clip here from Andrea
But he
Mitchell.
was so forgiving, and the fact that